Hey guys, this is Jason Creel and you're watching The Lawn Care Life. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to edge a lawn, and then I'm also going to talk about some of the common mistakes that people make when they're trying to edge a lawn with a string trimmer, weed eater, weed whacker, whatever you guys call it. So stay tuned, I'll show you how to do it right and wrong. Let me talk about how to edge a lawn. So there's going to be a couple things that I'm going to do that some people are going to approve of and some people are not going to approve of. So let's go ahead and get those out of the way. One, I'm using a string trimmer. Some people say that, you know, basically you shouldn't use a string trimmer, you should use a stick edger. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think a stick edger gives you a nice clean edge where a string trimmer takes some practice. But that's not the point of this video. The point of the video is to teach you how to use a string trimmer for those of you who want to do that, whether you're a homeowner and you don't have a stick edger, or maybe you just want to learn how to do this skill, because there are times in the lawn care business where it's handy to be able to edge with your string trimmer. So, you know, because I use the same technique I'm going to show you in this video, you can use to edge around a flower bed that doesn't have a border, around a tree or something like that. Let me talk about first, if you'll get this out of the way, and this saves some people some comments pointing out the obvious that I'm not using a guard, okay? So I'm not using a guard because, in my opinion, I just like the way trimmer performs without a guard. I like to keep the string a little bit longer than the guard will allow. I realize that taking the guard off puts more strain on the engine. It may void your warranty. There's some other things, you know, it's obviously not as protective. So, you know, I understand that, but at the same time, for me, it's about the piece of equipment performing the way I want it to perform, and I'm not so much worried about those other things. Now, obviously, without a guard or with the guard, you need to pay attention to what you're doing and understand which way that the trimmer is going to throw debris, okay? So I've got earplugs in, you know, I've got glasses. I did one video about edging without glasses, and I got so many comments remind me I don't have glasses on. So I've got my glasses, got my earplugs. Some people want you to have a full hazmat suit. I don't have that on, but I'm protective as I'm going to be for this video. All right. With that being said, I'm going to crank the trimmer. Let me show you just a technique real quick. So with that, before I crank the trimmer. So if I was holding the trimmer just like this, just like I normally would be, okay, and I'm just, you know, trimming along this for whatever reason. If I want to edge, all I do is take my hands and I flip it over upside down. Okay, that's all I do. I just make one flip. So it's here, and then I flip it, okay? So instead of using my finger on the trigger, once I flip it, now I'm using my thumb on the trigger, and I just move my hand. The key here is we're trying to get a 90-degree angle, or trying to make the line perpendicular to the ground, okay? We want a nice straight edge as best we can, you know, without using a stick edger. I'm going to crank the trimmer up. If you'll notice, I'm standing on the sidewalk side. I find that to be a little easier. You can also stand on this side. It's fine, but to me, I can see what I'm doing a little better when I'm standing on the sidewalk. So let's crank it up and see if I'm going to try to make as clean an edge as I can on this driveway. And then we're going to talk about some of the mistakes I see people make when they're edging. Again, you want to know which way the debris is throwing. The head is turning a particular way, so the debris is going to be going behind me. So it's important that if there's a $60,000 car over there, that I'm going to need to turn this way and throw the debris away from that, or a window. Okay, you have to use some common sense and always pay attention to which way you're throwing stuff. That's whether you have a guard or no guard. All right, let's check my work, see how clean the edge looks. You get a view down the edge. It's not, you know, it's not perfect. I'm sure, you know, with a stick edger, I could have probably done a little better. But I think overall that's not a bad edge. It's in the springtime, a little rusty, but I think that is a presentable edge for sure that would not get you complaints. Now let's talk about some of the things that people do wrong when they're trying to learn to edge with a string trimmer. Okay, so mistakes I see people make when they're using a string trimmer. Really and truly, it doesn't matter to me if you hold the trimmer, you know, like I said, for me, it's just a flip. You know, I'm holding it and then I flip it. I see people, they put it up on their shoulder like this. That's not a mistake. I don't care how you hold it. The point is, we're trying to get, like I said, we're trying to make the string as perpendicular to the ground as possible. So a mistake is going to be if you have it kind of held too flat and your string is at an angle, whether it's angled back, you know, this way, too far angled this way, or angled back too far the opposite way. You know, and it doesn't matter which way you're standing. So for instance, if I'm standing right here and I've got the trimmer, if it's not vertical, okay, it's leaning back too much, what's that gonna do? Well, one, you're gonna you might be cutting down close to the edge of the sidewalk, but because your line is angled, you're actually not making a straight cut, and the grass is gonna appear, it's gonna show that way. Grass is gonna actually be still growing out over the driveway or the sidewalk or whatever you're doing. So it's not gonna give you that clean edge. The same can be true if I was on this side edging and I was leaning it back too far this way. Well, now you're actually taking the grass too far off the sidewalk. You maybe seen some of those edges where you have, you know, sometimes there'll be a 6-inch gap between the driveway and the grass. They're not holding the trimmer at the right angle, and it creates a wider and wider gap every time. The other thing I see people do is, you know, you gotta think, we're not trying to dig a ditch here, okay? We're just trying to edge the grass. We're really not even trying to remove any dirt. So really, you're just using the very tip of the string, okay? It shouldn't be throwing debris everywhere. I mean, obviously it's gonna throw some, but just use the very tip of the string, because we're really just trying to cut the grass and not dig into the dirt. Other things, I've already hinted on these before, but just a mistake people make is not being careful of where the debris is thrown. Understanding which way the head's turning, and make sure that you have your body turned, whether that means you need to stand on the grass or stand on the sidewalk, to make sure you're throwing the debris in the least possible area that would cause damage, okay? And that's particularly true if you're obviously like me and you're not using a guard. I think the other thing, if you're starting off in the lawn care business or you're a homeowner, but let's talk about if you're in the lawn business, you know, practice this on your own lawn. I think it would be a mistake to get out there on a customer's property. If you can use a stick edger if you need to, those are basically idiot proof and very easy to work and to get a nice clean edge. But you can practice this on your own lawn, and when you develop the skill and get, you know, have the steady hand to be able to make a nice looking edge, it is a handy skill that you can use in your lawn business, or like I said, as a homeowner. It just takes a little practice. It's not that difficult. So just be extra careful of what's around you, you know, especially if you're in a situation at a customer's home and there's some kind of, you know, animals out there or children. I mean, that's a good time that you want to actually talk to the homeowner about, hey, would you mind taking your children inside, or make sure that they're not near you at the time. Like if you're in the front yard, they can go to the backyard, because you don't want to have any kind of liability when it comes to edging somebody's lawn. So I'm going to demonstrate one more time how to edge. This time I'm going to do it on the grass side just to show you it can be done from either side. Again, if you lean the trimmer too far one way or another way, it's going to leave grass hanging over on the sidewalk, or you're going to take too much grass off and start creating a gap between the sidewalk and the lawn. Neither of those are good. And remember, use just the tip of the lawn. So let's try it from the grass side. you haven't done so, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I continue to show you tricks like this, talk about how to grow a successful lawn business, and give you tips on your own lawn as well. And check out these suggested videos popping up now. Thanks a lot.